Something you're keeping your eye on this offseason right now. Give me something everyone should be paying attention to.
The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation is really interesting right now, but the Cincinnati Bengals and their unresolved contract situation with Trey Hendrickson is such that this is a situation that's been going on for the better part of 2 off seasons. You have a player who led the NFL in sacks last year, Greeny, still has not been paid, still is not happy. Obviously, both sides want to work this out. And most teams have given away a lot of their salary cap space, so it's more difficult to make a trade. So it's almost as if Hendrickson and the Bengals are left to pick up the pieces and figure out how to resolve this when there's been no solution in sight and they have not been able to bridge their differences. We'll see if they can get that done here coming up in the coming days and weeks.
Let me get RC into the conversation this morning as well. Ryan Clark is up with us early today. RC, what about this strategy? They paid their receivers. They have the one guy who did anything for them defensively last year, sort of hanging in the wind. How does this work out for Cincinnati?
You know, it's really a crazy ordeal when you look at what's going on with their first-round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, as well. It seemed like the Cincinnati Bengals were getting out of that cheap Bengals sort of moniker, but they aren't. Trey Hendrickson has earned his money, and I'm not sure necessarily what they're haggling over, but this is a player that's a must-have for new defensive coordinator Al Golden if they want to move forward and compete with the tops of the AFC.
Give me another one, Chef, you got your eye on. How about something involving Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins have been looking and open to dealing Jalen Ramsey, and there has been interest in him across the league. I think probably more than people realized, and it certainly sounds like in the next couple of weeks, the Dolphins will be able to find a trade partner for Jalen Ramsey, and he will be moving on yet again. Started in Jacksonville, went to the Rams, went to the Dolphins. He's about to find his 4th new team here in the coming weeks.
And then let me skip forward to the last one here in the interest of time, because I'm dying to hear what you have to tell me about the situation in Cleveland.
Well, Greeny, this is going to be the most interesting storyline all summer long, and they're in OTAs right now, so you know that that's going to be very interesting. We've got the 2 veterans in Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. We've got the 2 rookies in Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And, of course, Deshaun Watson's been off to the side throwing, coming off another torn Achilles, 2 surgeries. He doesn't figure in the picture, but Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders certainly do. And there's not enough room for all the quarterbacks they currently have in their room. It's hard to imagine that they'd move off of Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. I think both players wind up making the roster. So then the question becomes, does Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett wind up winning the starting job? And which one winds up staying in Cleveland? Probably room for one veteran. There's the room right now. It's a little crowded. Deshaun Watson, I would think, would be an IR candidate with the 2 Achilles injuries, the 2 surgeries, and the other quarterbacks would be left to vie for the Browns starting quarterback job. We'll be talking about this all summer.
RC, to me, this is going to be the story of the summer and into the season. Do you believe we will see Shedeur Sanders start for the Cleveland Browns sometime next season?
You know what? I believe he will start at some point next season. I believe Kenny Pickett will be the front runner. We have to remember he was the 20th overall pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years ago. But everything you're hearing out of Cleveland is how impressive Shedeur Sanders is. This is a guy we talked about as a possible first rounder, and I think he's showing that talent there, and the Cleveland Browns are desperate for a franchise guy.
All right, I have to get back to this. Let me take a quick break on that thought, but we're going to have
Okay, so let's bring in our NFL insider, Dan Graziano. No one loves talking more about Aaron Rodgers than this man right here. Okay, Graz, you saw that. By the way, the Steelers play the Bears Week 12. It sounds like that's what Aaron Rodgers was hinting at. What's the latest you're hearing?
Yeah, I don't think he's talking about going back to the Packers, for example. So, yeah, I think that is what he was hinting at. But checking on this situation yesterday, it didn't sound like there had been any real change. The Steelers are ready to start OTAs tomorrow. If Aaron Rodgers is there, great. If he's not, then they're okay with that. They haven't given him any kind of deadline. The one spot to watch on the calendar is that June 10th date, which is when their mandatory minicamp starts. That's a 3-day minicamp. After that, they don't do anything on the field until training camp in late July. So if he's not there by then I think then you have a situation where the Steelers may be looking to move on to other options. But right now, they have told him it's okay, take your time. The offer's out there, and if you want to come join us, we'd love to have you.
Okay, so then let's talk about those other options you just brought up there. If Rodgers doesn't sign with the Steelers, obviously they're going to have to pivot. And if they do pivot, what's the possibility of them bringing in a guy like, let's say, Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, the Steelers and really the rest of the league know that Kirk Cousins is available in trade from the Falcons. They're going to start Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback this year, and Cousins, a very expensive backup, $27.5 million in guaranteed salary this year and another $10 million next year. When they've talked trade with teams, it's been a lot of the holdup has been, how much of that money is the acquiring team willing to pay versus how much does Atlanta have to pay. The Steelers kind of know that's out there. They could certainly go that way if Rodgers turns them down. Their GM, Omar Khan, has said multiple times that they plan to go to training camp with 4 quarterbacks. Right now, they only have 3, so there's a spot open. Mason Rudolph would project as their starter right now, but it does look like they would be looking to add. The thing is, Brian, the Steelers just have not been very aggressive at the quarterback position this offseason. They didn't play on Sam Darnold. They didn't try that hard on Justin Fields. They didn't draft one until the 6th round. I think that you're looking at a team that just didn't love its options and didn't want to, stretch to get one.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on that June 10th date.
1 days away from the beginning of the NFL season. That means that class is in session. This is Football 101 with myself and Sam Acho. Sam is the student. This is an intro-level class, so the test will be multiple choice. I have some questions for you, Sam Acho. Which AFC team that missed the playoffs last season will make the postseason this year? Here are your options: the Patriots, the Bengals, the Colts, or the Dolphins.
Give me B for Bengals. I think Cincinnati's going to be the team that didn't make the playoffs last year, but that will make the playoffs this year. Why? They took a risky move. They re-signed both Jamar Chase and also got T. Higgins to long-term contracts. Why does that matter? Because now your number 1 passing offense has all of its weapons back. And oh, by the way, they're motivated. They were dominant on offense last year, Triple Crown winner with Jamar Chase, but their defense struggled. And so the entire offense and the defense is going to understand what they have at play. It's a short window with these receivers and the quarterback being healthy, but they have to elevate their game in order to make the playoffs. So give me B for Bengals.
Okay, I'm going to give you a grade at the end of this, by the way. The next question: which AFC playoff team?
All right, I was going to say, what happens if I get it wrong? Like, that's what I want to know.
Exactly. Which AFC playoff team from last season is most likely to miss the postseason this year? The options: the Texans, the Broncos, the Chargers, or the Steelers.
I'll go D. Circle D for me, Beanie. That's Steelers. Why? They made the playoffs last year, but they're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that he's going to be the solution. Yes, I do think Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Steelers, but it'll likely be after OTAs, after minicamp. He won't get time to really gel with his entire team. And sure, I'm confident he's throwing with DK Metcalf and maybe some other receivers, but it's not just the receivers, it's the offensive line, it's the scheme, and it's the team. And oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers wasn't overly outstanding as a player last year as well. And so if you're expecting him to be your hero or your savior, I don't think that he's going to be the solution. So D, Steelers will not make the playoffs this year, even with Aaron Rodgers.
All right, you called me Beanie. It's Professor Beanie. The next question: which NFC team that missed the playoffs last season will make the postseason this year? Is it the Falcons, the Bears, the Cowboys, or the 49ers?
I'll go C, Mrs. Christine. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. I think that they will make the playoffs this year. No, it's not sexy. No, it's not cute. But their team has actually gotten better. Why? Offensively, they've got 2 number 1 receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, if George Pickens can play at a consistent level. Defensively, they have Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator. And oh, by the way, Dak Prescott, when healthy, can still play at a high level. And so this is an opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to get back into the playoffs. Yes, they struggled last year. There were a litany of injuries, but I think they'll be a team that, not overly pretty, but physical, run the ball, make the playoffs.
Cowboys fans are begging for that to be the correct answer. The next question: which NFC playoff team from last season is the most likely to miss the postseason this year? Is it the Vikings, the Bucks, the Commanders, or the Rams?
A, Minnesota Vikings. I'm pretty confident on this one, Professor Christine or Professor Beanie. Why? Because the Vikings have set a pretty big risk on going with J.J. McCarthy. Yes, they let Sam Darnold